So now one of the things I know that you have talked about in the past is around, this decision-making process of CISOs and what it's like to go through that selection process when you're thinking about bringing technology into the organization. Do you think that's changed? Do you think that recently, or do you think it's largely the same?
Oh no, I think it's gotten worse. We as CISOs oftentimes struggle to understand what we need in our environment, and we keep getting inundated with more and more products trying to solve really niche problems in many ways, and we oftentimes actually lack the broader understanding of how this particular solution might fit into our portfolio. I faced this problem head on when I was at Bank of America. And part of my role, actually, part of what I'm trying to do at YL Ventures is to avoid that sort of same issue that I had as a buyer. But as a buyer, what I did was I came up with a simple construct that helped me organize everything in cybersecurity, and something called the Cyber Defense Matrix.
Right.
So it's a simple grid. It's a 5x5 grid that captures 5 things that we care about: devices or endpoints, applications, networks, data, and users. And it's aligned against 5 functions within this cybersecurity framework. So identify, protect, detect, respond, recover. So you have 5 things that we care about, 5 things that we do, and it creates this nice bingo card, actually, that we can use to then understand the breadth of things that we have to tackle in cybersecurity. And one of the challenges that we oftentimes face in making risk decisions and in any enterprise is we oftentimes get caught in what's called narrow framing, right, where we look at one particular problem because it just hurt us yesterday or we heard about it in the news, right, and we tend to overemphasize the probabilities or the potential likelihood of that one particular issue because we just recently saw it. The Cyber Defense Matrix allows us to avoid this cognitive bias and instead do what's called broader framing. You can see the entire space of the needs that we have in cybersecurity, and then make better decisions on should I invest in this particular area versus this area. Yes, I know this area may be hot because it's in the news and so on and so forth, but is it actually the best thing to invest in relative to other areas that we could potentially get a better return on security investment for?
That's really interesting. Yeah. And I think that it's this definition that sometimes the problem we see is a definition between urgent and important. Just because it feels like it's something that you need to fix, it doesn't mean it's the most important thing you can be doing. Just because it's a noisy threat doesn't mean it's your most dangerous threat. And I think that's sometimes a challenge as well, isn't it?
Yeah. And sometimes we're going to be constrained by the business in terms of our ability to implement a certain control. And so understanding the nuances of what the business needs tied to the controls that you can actually implement, being able to bring that together into a cohesive, clear picture that you can make decisions, or you can make rational decisions on. I mean, it's really hard right now because most people don't have this in a way that they can easily synthesize. So again, the Cyber Defense Matrix was a mechanism that I used to bring all that together, to be able to portray the business constraints, to be able to portray the security capabilities or controls that we wanted to put in, to see where there are potential conflicts. I was mentioning this bingo card earlier. Think of the bingo card where you have boxes that you can't put your chip in. Okay, those are like your business constraints. I would like to, for example, put a firewall in, but I'm operating in an environment that has that's very sensitive to latency. So I can't put something into this box that creates latency. Thus, if I try to put a firewall in, I create business impact. It becomes a constraint. Yeah. But you have all these different constraints in your environment. How do you see this in a way that helps you, again, make a broad framing decision around the risks that you have and make the best investments based on the business constraints that you're facing, the threats that you're facing, and the suite of controls that you have available at your disposal.